Well, it's everybody's favorite uncle, Uncle New, aka DJ Newmark. Thank you so much for your time. Welcome to Silver Tiger Media.
Thanks for having me.
Well, we can't say welcome to Oz just yet, but we can pretty soon. You're coming along March 1st to 10th with Norman J and Ronnie Size. What can audiences expect?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't planned that far ahead yet.
I'm not surprised, actually. I've been watching. I thought I was a frequent flyer miles junkie, but you have rocked up some miles already in 2024. It's only February.
Oh my God. I just told my assistant I've never felt a year where the boots hit the ground so fast.
Was it
I
always going to be this way? Was
I'm
2024
like
always?
overwhelmed. Like I'm so overwhelmed. I think by the time my first book comes out, March 30th, I will have a very stiff drink. I don't know what it will be, but
An
maybe
Australian
things.
red wine, surely. Maybe that's not
Yeah, there
strong
you go.
enough.
For sure. Yeah, yeah. I'm a red wine drinker too. But and I don't drink that much, but come March 30th, I will be drinking.
I know. Well, we're going to talk about your book and, of course, the
Yeah.
tour as well, and maybe a run for cover too, I hear. But yeah, you've said that Australia is one of the places you feel sometimes most at home. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
I actually been like thinking about someplace to live outside of the States, and Australia and New Zealand are definitely on the radar. So no, I just get a very warm reception from the people there. Just I'm talking not from like shows and from my artist related endeavors. I'm speaking just when I walk the streets and go to the restaurants. I was actually out there and went to a restaurant, kind of checked the menu. The waiter put down some water, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I think I'm gonna, look for someplace else." The food just didn't look like it was appetizing to me. And the guy like walked me outside and pointed me to like three other restaurants that might be to my liking after asking me what I liked. And I was like, God, that's like, you know, being human goes a long way, especially in this climate that we're in, right? And
I'm so glad
I,
to hear. Do you think he knew who you were, or he was just being a good human
no,
being?
no, he had absolutely no clue. No, no, no. Once I take my hat off, nobody, I mean, I can literally walk into the crowd of 100,000 people. People don't even recognize me. So I have my own real cheap disguise. But
Yeah,
no, he was just
that's a great superpower.
yeah. No, he was just a sweet, kind person. And I believe in that. I believe in, treating people with respect, no matter who they are. And it was just a really sweet gesture for a business to do that. So, those kinds of things stick with me.
And it stands out. Hallelujah. I'm so glad that was one of your experiences. It feels
Hmm.
like it hasn't been that long since you were out here, but I think COVID kind of warped our sense of time, right? I realized it has been
Yeah.
5 years.
Yeah, it put a pause on everybody's calendar. I've had a few people say exactly what you just said to me in both interviews and like promoters. They'll be like, "God, has it been 4 years? Has it been 5 years?" They say that. I'm like, God, I guess it has, but COVID really just paused us all and messed up our time continuum here.
Now, of course, we are going to chat about your forthcoming Australian tour, your new cookbook, slightly off kilter project, which
Yeah.
is out in March, as you say, and we're going to talk about a potential run for cover follow up. But if you'll allow me, New, I thought I'd throw some rapid fire questions at you first, just
Oh
something
boy.
simple and quick, just so that people might get to know the mark behind DJ Newmark. Are you
Okay.
willing?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, the first ones are just yay or nay questions. The first one, is Drake pop? Yay or nay? No, no, I'm just kidding. Do not answer that. Don't answer that.
Okay.
Well, you're willing, but that was just a joke. Vegemite, yay or nay?
um, it was a nay for me, but I kind of understood the appeal. It's one of those things. I think once you get an acquired taste, so yeah.
Well, I think there's a trick to it too. Maybe I'll get you some. Like, you can't spread it like peanut butter. I wouldn't eat
Right.
it. And I'm a Vegemite, I'm very pro Vegemite. I wouldn't eat it if you need to just stain the bread. There's an art to
See,
it.
that was my problem because like with jelly, I layer it so thick, like I'm a complete glutton. And I think that's what happened to me.
Yeah, yeah. No, you need to pretend it's like caviar in terms of like the costliness of it, and you're just staining the bread. I'll get you some more. What
All
about
right.
Wordle? Yay or nay?
Wordle?
Yeah.
I don't know Wordle.
It's sort of become this phenomenon. We'll have to chat that another time as well, where people are guessing words based on, you know, a particular pattern of letters, but that's okay. I'll send you
Oh,
one.
I don't know. Sorry.
No, that's fine. But that's good. I guess it's a nay.
I'm not as
What
playful as I thought, I guess.
no, I'm not into it either, but you know, it's become a phenomenon, or so I thought. What about clapping when a plane lands? Yay or nay?
Nay.
Speaking of staying in the sky, are you a window seat or an aisle seat man?
Always aisle.
Okay. Early bird or a night owl?
Used to be a night owl most of my career, but I've been an early bird since, oh God, probably about for the last 13, 14 years now.
Yeah, yeah. And your last meal on earth, is it sweet or savory?
You know, you're just more creative in the morning. That's why.
Oh, I can get twice as much done in half the time. But I
Yeah.
know people that aren't like that, you know. I
Yeah,
think
I find my purest thoughts come through in the morning, and I'm really free, and the phone isn't quite ringing yet. But you can also make the same argument with working late, where the phone doesn't ring. So that I, there was more hours where the phone didn't ring late at night when I was working those hours, which I really do miss. But my purest thoughts come in the morning.
speaking of which, I mean, for an average on a typical day, your fans would love to know, I'm sure, how many typical hours would you spend in the studio, and what do you do to relax and to have fun when you're not there?
So my kind of run through the day, I get up, go to the gym, 4 to 5 times a week. So that's the first thing I do. Then I come home, make myself some sort of scramble, some sort, something with some greens in it, some veggies in it, and then I come in the studio and well, I go to the office first and make sure all the emails and all that stuff's out of the way, and then I get to practicing probably 2 to 3 hours a day. If I have more time, I'll go to 4 to 5 hours a day, and then I recap with my assistant Mike everything that's pending, deadlines, shows coming up, flyers, artwork, upcoming projects, that kind of thing. Walk my dog for 45 minutes and have dinner, and then I come back to the studio to kind of recap, touch up, do whatever I need to do in production world, and then that's it. I'm wiped out after that.
I bet. But where's the fun? I mean, is the studio time the
Oh,
fun?
the fun part. The fun part usually happens on the weekends. Either me playing out, I really do enjoy playing out, or sometimes in the occasional hike, sometimes the occasional wine tasting, um, trips. Sometimes I take trips, go out of town, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I
Uh,
saw, yeah, one of your most recent holidays. I was incredibly envious. And we see your dog occasionally, not too often on your socials. What sort of dog do you
yeah.
have?
Oh yeah, I used to show off my old dog more. I'm not sure why I don't show off Frankie more. Frankie's a funny dog. He's like half American Bulldog. Well, we think he's half American Bulldog because we rescued him. We don't know. And half American Bulldog, half Pit Bull. And he's really stubborn. It has to be his way or the highway. He acts more like a cat, actually. He's never happy to see me when I come home. He's the strangest dog ever. So like I kiss his ass, like I'm constantly
But
kissing his ass.
don't worry. My dog loves
Yeah.
me and I kiss his ass as well.
Oh
They're
God, it's
training
so
us. They're
exhausting.
training us, man.
Yeah, no, it's
Now,
exhausting. But if I knock at my own door, then he loves me. He likes strangers, so I guess that's not a good thing to say, but
back in 2022, you were on Talib Kweli's People's Party, and I won't say he said, he acknowledged twice, knew that you are the best living working DJ. What does that something like that do to you? I mean, it doesn't get much higher, that sort of praise. Does it make you vindicated, motivated, nervous?
you know what's really funny is I ignore it. Really early on, there was um really nice things said about myself and my group, Jurassic 5, and there was also really shitty things said about myself in Jurassic 5. And so I had to make a decision at a young age, probably around 30, 29, 30. That's young still.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Um, I'm calling it young.
They're
And so I had to make
babies,
a decision.
babies. We're still young. They're
Yes.
babies.
I had to make a decision early on to say, you know, what do you want to make of this? And I came up with it doesn't mean anything if they love you or hate you. I've really meditated and focused heavily on the satisfaction of my art, and what I produce comes from what I do in that moment when I press enter for bouncing down the track or rendering the file. At that point, if I'm happy with myself, I'm happy with myself. So external validation is always nice. It feels good. We're human and all that. And but it's funny that you said that, because I don't even remember Talib saying it. So I've gotten to a point where I've become pretty numb, I
He
think.
said it twice. I remember because I thought,
Yeah.
yep,
So I
this
don't
guy
remember it
knows.
said once. I don't
So,
remember
I
it
mean,
said once.
we sound alike. You know, I'm my harshest critic as well. Would you call yourself a perfectionist, a workaholic?
Um, I've been called that. I don't I always feel like it could be better. So maybe, I guess, yeah, that's the traits of a perfectionist. So maybe, yeah. I mean, I've seen things that I've put out, or videos of myself DJing, or a performance thing where I'm like, that was sloppy. So that, I guess that wouldn't be perfection, you know? There is no such thing as perfection, especially in art, because you're constantly looking for the next thing, and it's an endless maze. And that's probably why I love it so much. It's constantly challenging me, but I don't know. I have traits of a perfectionist, but I don't know if I am a
You
perfectionist.
know, you were talking about external validation. Of course, it depends where it comes from. I know that you weren't always going to be a magician, not even necessarily a drummer, and you've attributed that final push into the career to your father. And Mark, belated but sincere condolences. I was
Thank
very
you.
sad to hear of your loss. How joyful though, and how vindicating for him, given his advice, to go on and see the success that you created and that you enjoyed. Did your dad see you perform live often? I mean, I can't fathom some of the crowds you were playing to at a time.
My dad has seen me several times, a handful of times, and one of the performances was probably a good year or two before CeeLo blew up. That's hard to say. CeeLo blew up. Wow. Right before he blew up, and he actually opened before us. It was a few people on the bill, and we were in a proper amphitheater here in LA. And my dad was just going on and on about the performance, and I was like, "Wow, you really liked it, huh, Pops?" I mean, it was a good performance. I remember that night, but I've never seen him like that. So yeah, he's seen a few things, and he's also seen me do my toy set at Amoeba Records here in LA, and he was just completely tripping out. He didn't know what to make of it, and he just was asking a lot of questions. So that was cool too. Um, and then there was times where he criticized me too. Um, there was one time where he said, "You know, Cut Chemist looks really relaxed, and you look pretty tense on stage." But the performance
Thanks,
that he
Dad.
saw, but the funny thing is, the performance that he saw me at, where he said that,
You probably
my
knew he was
my
there. That's probably what
no,
made you
so here's
nervous.
what happened. I know exactly the performance. So I don't really smoke weed that much. I mean, once in a blue moon, I smoke some weed. I could take it or leave it. But a friend of mine he just kept going on and on backstage before we went on. He's like, "Man, I got the best shit. This is the same shit that Dre smokes, all this shit." And he wouldn't leave me alone. So I took maybe two hits, and I
It
went
was
out
the
on
second.
stage. Oh
One
my God.
take over the line, man. One
I went out
take.
on stage, and I was just not myself at all. Like, I kept looking at the other members and going, "Holy shit. Did I fuck up that part?" And they weren't even paying attention to me. They're like doing what they do best. And I just kept looking at my hands. I'm like, "Did I fuck up that part? That didn't sound like I normally do." Like, and then I was looking at Cut, and like, I just was all, and then I started looking at my shirt and going, "What the fuck am I wearing? Why am I wearing this yellow shirt? Like, what am I doing?" It was just a bad night for me. And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll never do that again." Shit.
A bad night for Pops to come along too.
Bad nights for Pop to I don't know why am I smoking weed? My dad's there. It didn't make any sense.
No, well, you survived. You made it. You
Yeah,
made
I
it
will
to the other
survive.
side. So, all right, well, let's talk about your cookbook. I mean, I've heard you talk about this project not necessarily being avoided for decades, but delayed or sidelined for a long, long time. What do you think was the delay, and what was the catalyst potentially for getting it over the line out March 30?
So it's more of a why thing. Why am I doing this? Okay, so back in the year 2000, I think that's when Big Pimpin' from Jay-Z came out. Uh, I was on tour with my group, and my mom called me. She goes, my mom's Iranian. She's from Tehran. And she goes, Mark, you really need to make music like this Middle Eastern music in the background. Make music and mixes like this. And I, you know, was like, dang, mom, you're pretty keyed in, like, but also kind of blowing her off because I was so busy with the group. We were hitting tour after tour after tour. We would tour like with rock band 3 months at a time. It just crazy schedules. And so I kept putting off, but she planted the seed where I was like, God, I really need to do a proper mix, like a DJ mix of Middle Eastern music and some of the music I was brought up on, which would be played in our house on her turntable. Fast forward to here we are today. I've been working on this project. It's partially my best Persian recipes, partially a travel guide for all the best Middle Eastern food around the world from my peers, people like Pasta News from De La Soul, DJ Premier, Farrell Monch, Russell Peters, friends and family who contributed their favorite Middle Eastern restaurant in the book. So it's a travel guide. And, I got entries from Egypt, Iraq, Iran, here in LA, Australia. Chris from Northside gave me one for us for I think, is Chris in Sydney? I think he's in Sydney. I might be wrong. Anyway,
Yeah, shout
all
out to
around the world.
Chris.
Shout out to Chris. And then there's a, autobiographical section about my upbringing and how I met J5 and how they're Muslim and how that ties into the Middle Eastern fabric of the project. And but the backbone and the reason why it was created was this 2-hour long Middle Eastern mix that goes from 1969 to the year 2023, roughly. Might be even 2024. I have to check one of these songs, but so that's included with a QR code in the book, and then there's a floppy vinyl record in the very back of my Middle Eastern production. So there's a lot of love went into this. I poured my heart and soul into it, and I'm trying to beat the clock and get this out by March 30th. And I just looked at a proof right now that I don't like, so
Oh,
I'm sweating bullets. I
you
mean,
can
all the
do it. I
content
have
is there,
faith.
but the color is wrong. Like there's something happened at printing, so I'm like, whoo, fanning
This is just
myself at the
one though,
moment.
right? They haven't printed them all.
No, just one. No, I'm smart. I learned my
This is the
lesson.
time to sadly realize that there's something
Yeah,
you're
no,
not
I
quite
learned my
happy with.
lesson with vinyl that you have to get a test print of some sort. So, you know, that came back kind of funky. Then I'm leaving to Arizona, and then I come and see you guys, and I'm like, oh shit! And I got a party, March 30th with some heavy hitters. This DJ Habib Beats, who's a big Middle Eastern DJ, kills it. My boy Gaslamp Killer and Russell Peters will be hosting it.
At your book release. That sounds really
Yeah,
exciting. Really
yeah, and
exciting.
the forward is by Roy Choi. So that's really cool. So it's a really fun project. I really poured as much love as I possibly could into this book, and it's kind of paying homage to my family. And yeah, that's what it
It's
is.
really exciting. Oh yeah, I'll be looking out for it for sure. I
It's
mean, you
called
mentioned
it's called Amu Nu, which means Uncle Nu in Farsi.
okay, yeah. Well, I was keen to learn about the title because I know you have a bit of a penchant for wordplay. Hence why I thought maybe the word would be your jam. But create expectations, vinyl destination, amazing. You speak about J5. I know that's a past life, and anyone that knows you only from that era is limiting themselves immensely. But if you'll forgive me one question, I mean, when were you all last together, and were there beats involved?
God, I don't remember the last time I was with everybody. I'm pretty bad at timelines, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
God, what year are we in? 2024? Was that 2018 or 20? I really don't know. I think it was 2017 actually. And there were some beats involved, but it never got off the ground. Yeah, we all were thinking in different ways, so it just when the heartbeat started beating, that's when things kind of started to fall apart. You know, the love wasn't shifting in the all for one momentum that it needed to. It wasn't all the reasons why we got together. There was just as many reasons that pulled us apart. That's probably the best way to put it. You know, it wasn't there.
It was a moment, and the world is so much better for it. Nu, we've heard you talk about the pain of getting samples cleared, and we know you're a man of a million talents, but I think potentially we need to add like Jedi or magician to that, because I would like to know how on earth you got approval to use that audio of Barry White losing it during the voiceover for some like ad on Broken Sunlight. I mean,
Is that on Broken Sunlight where it's Barry White? I'm
yeah,
thinking that's on
yeah.
a mix. I
Oh,
thought that
maybe
was
it
one
is.
of my
Maybe it
mixes.
is.
Yeah, if it's on one of my mixes, it probably didn't get approved. I don't think
Sorry.
it's definitely not on Broken Sunlight. Yeah,
Okay.
it's definitely not on Broken Sunlight. But I know the clip you're talking to, it was in some sort of mix, you know, but it's hysterical.
It's
And
so good. It's so good. Oh man.
I
And
just
I'm embarrassed to say I've only just got a hard copy of Broken Sunlight after all these years, because it's been on high rotation for a long, long time. And having that additional, the second disc where you break down the instrumental and then the vocals on their own, that's phenomenal. I've not seen that really done before. And yeah, I love it.
I've
I
been
love it.
seeing it. I've been seeing a little bit more of that since that record, actually. There's been even if you go to the music app on, what used to be called iTunes, I'm seeing more and more instrumentals available and acapellas available these days, which is where it should go. I mean, for me, it just felt like second nature and like common sense to give everybody the parts. I haven't been as savvy to go, okay, here's just the bass line and here's just, the piano melody. But there are people who do that. It just depends on how much you want your music to be dissected. But I think at least, the instrumental, a cappella, and clean version as far as secondary versions is
It adds so
pretty
much. Like
cool.
I didn't think I could appreciate the album more, but I really do. All right, I'm conscious of the time. A couple more questions. I see that you're potentially doing a follow-up to Run for Cover 2. For anyone watching that hasn't yet had a listen, Run for Cover is 13, extremely already successful tracks flipped by Uncle Nu into sort of different genres. Is the fact that you're maybe working on a second a reflection of your love for working on Run for Cover, or is it more the audience reception, or both?
I've never had a record where once I've mastered it and it was ready to go, where I played damn near every song on my set. It's never happened. And I kind of had to ask myself a few, hard questions like, I did everything backwards here. Most people start with covers and then they go to writing music, like it's their, way of getting their feet wet into the music industry. I guess for whatever reason, I did it backwards. But the reason why I did Run for Cover is because I had really good success with Blunt Crafters Imagine when I did the John Lennon cover. And then right before Jurassic 5 broke up and Cut had already left the group, I did a cover of Canto de Asana, which was like the most streamed record
I
from Jurassic
saw.
5
Yeah,
in
yeah, I
Pandora, which I was
saw.
like, how? Like, made no sense at all. And I even talk about that in the book. Like, I thought for sure it'd be Concrete Schoolyard or What's Golden, and it was Canto de Asana. So the cover thing and I get along for whatever reason. And I want to do another one because I've never been able to play my own music in that abundance before. And so I'm like, well, if this works, why are you fighting it? So I'm either going to jump right into it after the book release or right into another album, like a proper DJ Newmark album. And so they're neck and neck in my brain at the moment, but I kind of can't see past March 30th.
I
I'm
bet.
still,
I
I'm
bet.
trying to get this off the desktop
I
before
can't see past March 3rd, man. Come
yeah,
on.
I'm like, I have to do one thing at a time, otherwise I'll implode. Um, yeah, so I would love to do another one. I would love to bring on another group of talented producers and musicians to collaborate with. That was the other thing I really enjoyed is it demanded collaboration and especially after the void of not being with Jurassic 5, it's really nice to be with a new set of talented musicians and producers and learn from them. And I've learned so much even with Broken Sunlight and, Method Man and all these other people that I've worked with, and their vocal style, the way they produce, the way they play, the trombone. I mean, it's just fascinating to see musicians in their element. And that's the part I think I like the most, to answer your question. That's the biggest appeal, to see everybody get to work. Like, I'm telling them, hey, I want to flip past the Cavassier into a Middle Eastern sounding, uh, upbeat dance floor knocker, and watching their response to a part I played is really fascinating to me. So, yeah.
I'm so excited. Please, whatever the album looks like, please get it out. Not to put more pressure on you at all. I mean, I
Right.
was going
Yeah.
to ask you, when I was sort of taking my notes, I was going to ask you what Australian artists you know and might be on high rotation. And then I'm incredibly embarrassed to have learned this week that you did some of the production on Hilltop's Hood's State of the Art. I mean, I did not know that. It makes
You know
so much
what's
sense
I
though.
can't I cannot find that on the music app, which is really the song I did was called Classic Example.
It makes so much sense. As soon as I love that song, as soon as I realized, I'm like, of course that's new. Listen to the start. Like, yeah.
I can't find the song anywhere. I was trying to download it, put it in my sets. I cannot. I'm gonna have to look like on SoundCloud or something. Those guys hit it. Maybe there was a problem. I don't know. And I've tried to hit each one of them online, and I have old information on all three of those dudes. So I need to I need put the APB out for me, people. I need to find Hilltop Hoods. Those are my homies, obviously, but I just can't find them. It's the weirdest thing. I can't find them, and I can't find the song that I produced. And I want to download the mastered version and the instrumental version into my laptop. So
100%. All right,
yeah,
let's see what magic we can
put the
work.
APB out, my friends. Put the APB out.
All right, Australia, look, do not sleep on these tickets. This man is a genius. He continues to educate, but he's also going to be accompanied by some of the greatest, Ronnie Size and Norman J. Have you toured with them before, Nu?
I haven't. This is going to be a new experience. I think
Very
it's
exciting.
going to be tricky for me because it's drum and bass heavy, and I'm coming from a whole nother world. So
No, we want funk, we want soul. Forget everybody else. Forget everybody else.
I have my obstacles ahead of me here. I'm gonna have to really think about some things.
I just want a whole set of your whack songs, please. I know that's your favorite crate. All whack.
That crate will definitely clear the dance floor. It's yeah, they're pretty bad demos.
Well, thank you once again. Hip hop royalty here in the House of Silver Tiger Media. I truly appreciate it. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
All right, pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Peace, man.
Peace.